All right, so my name is Danny Lloyd, and I'm very excited about our conversation tonight. We have a very special guest, and we are super grateful for the time that we have tonight because of everything that is going on right now, globally, nationally, and on a local level, and especially in Nassau County. There is a lot of um, just energy and both negative and positive right now, and so we're just so grateful. I don't want to waste any time tonight. We have our very special guest, Nassau County Executive, Ms. Laura Curran.
Hello there. How are you?
Good, good. I'm so thankful that you're able to join us. And I'll start off with a very simple question. This is just for our audience and our members. As an organization, like I said, our goal is to bridge the gap between policy and culture and help educate young people of color that will ultimately contribute to our future in today's society on Long Island. So can you explain the role of the County Executive of Nassau County?
Yeah, sure. People wonder what the heck is a county executive? It's kind of a weird title.
Yeah.
So Nassau County, we know there are two counties on Long Island. One of them is Nassau County. We have about 1.4 million residents here. And my job, if you could look at Nassau County like a city, I would be the mayor of that city. Obviously, it's a county, and we have smaller municipalities within Nassau County. We have villages, we have hamlets, we have towns, we have cities. It's a very complicated patchwork quilt of municipalities. And unfortunately, it's a lot of layers of government. So you could live in a village, inside of a town, inside of the county. That's 3 layers of municipal government before you even get to the state level. So as Nassau County Executive, I am not the boss of those other municipalities. We have our own jurisdictions of what we cover. For instance, the county is responsible for the Nassau County Police Department, for our parks, for our county roads. Some roads are county roads, some roads are town roads, state roads. You get the idea.
Yeah.
We have a very important role with public safety, with police, with the jail, with the fire marshals, with 911 calls, and all of that sort of thing. And we're also in charge of most of the sewage operation here in the county. And I bring that up because people don't realize what an important function sewage plays in just allowing life to continue in a pretty sanitary way.
Oh,
It's a big deal. We're on an island, so we want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that protects the water underneath us, the water that we drink from the aquifer, and the water that's around us, the beautiful salt water that surrounds us as an island. So that's sort of a general overview of what my job is. I'm in the executive branch. There are 19 legislators. That's the legislative branch. So, we work together as best we can to make sure that we're serving our residents and making sure that they get the services and all of the things that we do, make sure that we're providing them regularly and efficiently and in a cost-effective way. We're a very heavily taxed county. County portion of your property taxes makes up about 15% of your property tax bill. We have, I talked about all of those different jurisdictions. We have a lot. They're all taxing jurisdictions. 56 independent school districts, 71 fire departments, towns, villages. It's a lot. It's a lot. And people of all ages, not just millennials, find this incredibly confusing.
Yeah. Now, let me correct me if I'm wrong. Did you make history by becoming the county executive?
I did. I was the first woman to be
That's right. Yes.
executive in Nassau. In fact, in all of Long Island, both Nassau and Suffolk. So
Yeah. Congratulations again. That's amazing. I know we don't have much time, but I do want to shift into right now what's happening. And again, I haven't really had any break. So, but I want to talk quickly about anti-racism, and we're seeing that now in Long Island, really in Nassau County, and across the island though, and police reform. So Long Island, I'm a Long Islander. I'm a native Long Islander, so I know that we've had a failure to acknowledge its racial hierarchy, which perpetuates ideology and encourages oppression of culture and policy. This is what I personally believe. And in some respect, the interaction with what happened in Merrick between the protesters and some residents is somewhat of we already knew this. Now it's just public. We're seeing it, and we see how ugly it is, and we see how evil it can be. And we also all remember the recent the Freeport situation with the police there. And the department has had a long history of aggression towards people of color. And unfortunately, from what I've seen, Nassau County Police doesn't necessarily escape this either. So knowing all this policy initiative, what policy initiatives will your office be able to propose to ensure that villages and other municipalities and force police departments to be held accountable and enforce fair, safe, and uniform policing, which doesn't adversely impact minority residents, if you haven't done this already.
Yeah, this is such an important question. I don't know. I haven't spoken to one person who was not horrified by that video of the killing of George Floyd. And the fact that the other officers just let it happen for that period of time is just shocking. And I got to tell you, I talked to some of our cops who said, you know, at some point you're like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It was just horrific. Now, one thing I can tell you about, like I explained at the beginning of this, we have this complicated patchwork quilt of municipalities. We have the Nassau County Police Department. It has about 4,000 sworn and civilian members. We also have about 20 smaller police departments, villages, and the two cities, Long Beach and Glen Cove. So our culture in the Nassau County Police Department has been built on community service and building bridges between community and the people who are supposed and sworn to serve and protect. Yeah. And I think in our Nassau County, we've done a really, really good job of that. And you brought up the Merrick situation, and we saw that standoff between two groups of people.
Yeah.
And it could have gotten really hot, but the police were able to de-escalate and appeal to the cooler heads, and the issue, it resulted in nobody getting hurt, nobody getting arrested, no property being damaged. Yeah. That was the fruit of the work that we're doing and have been doing for a long time. Now, are we perfect? No. We are always working on building bridges, how to do it, hiring more community police officers, which, you know, in the past 2.5 years we've done, adding more POP officers that interact very intimately with the community in every precinct, going from 1 to 3 in all of our precincts, making sure that our police academy that we're building now is right in the middle of the county on the grounds of Nassau Community College. And then we're going to open it up to the community for young people to do sports programs on the weekends, for instance, or there's a beautiful auditorium for community meetings, just to sort of demystify and to make regular the relationship between young people and our police. Yeah. A new initiative that we're looking at, legislator Sheila Bino has proposed body cameras.
Yes, I saw that. We need that. Major.
So, you know, next week we're going to put out what's called a request for expressions of interest for vendors who can show us what they've got, what's the cost, and then that's what would be the first step in any procurement process for that. Now, I have to note, you did talk about the Village of Freeport. The Village of Freeport was the first police department in the state to have body cameras, FYI. It's about maybe about 5-6 years ago. Yes. Right. So we're not in charge. Just to be clear, we're not in charge of any of the police departments. We work with them and we cooperate with them very well. But the village and city police departments, we're not their boss necessarily. At times when obviously our detectives do work in there, if an alleged crime rises to a felony, then that's when we get involved. But in terms of patrolling and that sort of thing, that's the village or the city jurisdiction.
Copy. I mean, you actually answered my next two questions about police reform, and I'm, you know, very happy to hear that you're already, you know, progressively working on reform. And to us, relationship is the biggest thing, because if you see somebody on a constant basis, and not just in their car, you know, if you have a relationship and they're getting out or in some type of conversation, that helps when a situation does happen, because you can actually probably say the police officer's name by his first name, you know, and there's a link there, there's a respect there somewhat if you build it. And I think that's key. And I know we're working heavy with that in Suffolk County, you know, and so it's major. It plays such a major role in making and preventing horrific acts like what happened with George Floyd. And we're also hoping that we can change the narrative of what it means to be a Black man, you know, and so that relationship, having a relationship with police helps change that narrative, because you get to know the people as human beings rather than by their skin color. And that's key.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. And something else that we've done to kind of work and on solidifying those relationships is started community councils. It's called the Commissioners Community Councils in all 19 of our legislative districts, made up of leaders from the community so that they have a direct line to Commissioner Ryder and to his team, so that there is like boots on the ground communication all the way to the top of the police department. And just, and we find out a lot about, we get a lot of good information that way. We're able to disseminate good information that way. And it's just another way that we build relationship.
Love it. What has this role looked like during this pandemic for COVID-19? Because I see you every day, on Facebook, and you're very active. What does it look like? Has your role shifted from what you were doing in the first 2 years to now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are always, there's so many things that we do at the county level that it's an incredibly busy job, as you can imagine. There are a million things happening all the time, things that you plan, things that you don't plan. I would put this pandemic under the category of things that you don't plan. You never think, you think about things that could happen, storms, perhaps, God forbid, a shooting, something like that.
Yeah.
Being the epicenter of a global pandemic was not high on my list of things to worry about. However, when we were in those really deep, heavy days of the surge, it was the only thing that we were focusing on, making sure, talking to the hospital executives, making sure they had the capacity to handle the surge, making sure that we had enough PPE for our workers who were out there on the front lines, making sure our health department has what it needs. I mean, our health department, that's a county function. The morgue, making sure that they had enough capacity, that's a county function.
Really?
Making sure that,
Yeah.
Yes. Our Department of Social Services was continuing to provide services to people during this pandemic, and it became a little bit more of an immediate need. We've seen serious food insecurity now with 16% unemployment on Long Island because of the pandemic, people losing their paychecks, businesses wondering if they're ever going to open again. So we were able to marshal resources to do 10 massive food drives throughout the county, putting food on the table of about 10,000 families countywide, and then we're gonna do more. Helping now, so that's sort of the whole crisis phase. Now, as we start to reopen, we want to do everything we can to help businesses, small businesses, with loans, with PPE, however we can get them up on their feet and get running again.
Awesome, it's amazing. So just to kind of talk about COVID-19, I mean, where does Nassau County stand with regards to infections, and do we actually have any evidence at this point, information as to why community colors were so disproportionately impacted? Has anything new came out of that?
Yes. So we've had more than 40,000 positive confirmed cases of COVID. We've had about more than 2,200 of our residents die of COVID complications. And very early on, we did see a disproportionate impact in our minority communities, and especially in our African American community. Now, we have in Nassau County, as we do in many places, real health disparities in health outcome. This has been chronic in Nassau County. Last year, I appointed someone to focus just on that in the health department, to look at equities, to make sure that we could help get more equity in healthcare delivery. We also know that there were more underlying conditions that contributed to death and COVID complications, such as hypertension, such as diabetes. So we wanted to make sure that we had adequate testing in all of our communities, in our minority communities. We saw that we weren't getting the same numbers of testing done in our minority communities and in our African American communities. So we partnered with our community health clinics that are called FQHCs, and we ramped up testing in Freeport, Hempstead, Elmont, Westbury. We're going to continue. We're going to start doing more in Roosevelt and more in Long Beach, so that everyone has access to this very basic care. And, but it really did expose something that we already knew was a problem, something we'd already been working on, but it gives us a sense of urgency to make sure that we address those health inequities and those health disparities. We've got great healthcare here in Nassau County. We have more doctors than anyone. We've got fabulous hospitals. And the fact that these disparities still exist is frankly shameful.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I know as an organization, we're definitely trying to actively come up with some type of think tank ideas and a survey as well, so that we can prevent this in the future. Take the data from this pandemic and make sure that we use that to leverage preventive resources. So if this ever comes back, we won't have the same type of impact, especially on communities of color. So
Absolutely. And also the message that we want everyone to take care of themselves. And if you feel like you're not right, if something's not right, get that, access that care. I know there's also sometimes a lack of trust in healthcare, which I
yeah,
completely understand. And we want to help people navigate through that and get access to the care that is there and that they need.
yeah, absolutely. You had mentioned PPP, and I know that that was a big issue with small businesses, but I want to kind of target MWBEs, and a large percentage actually of sole proprietorships or partnerships are formed by millennials of color in on Long Island, and obviously they've been severely impacted by COVID-19. So, what are some of the things your office is doing to ensure that MWBEs actually will be able to get will be prioritized to get funding this time?
Yes, so we have partnered with the Nassau County IDA. That is it's not really part of the government, but it's a very good economic development agency that supports businesses and allows, the whole goal is to attract and to keep businesses here. The more businesses we have that are successful, the better it is for all of us.
Yeah.
So we partnered with them to do a loan program for those businesses who'd been passed over for PPP. With an emphasis on small businesses and women and minority-owned businesses. So we have some federal money set aside for COVID purposes. So we ponied up $250,000 of that. The IDA matched that, so that's $500,000 that then we can use to leverage a state loan program of $10 million for our businesses. And we're moving. If people are interested, if you're a business owner and you're interested in seeing if you can apply for this, go to boostnassau.net, boostnassau.net.
Awesome.
And through that, we're also doing a PPE giveaway. We did a pilot program for 1,000 businesses, again, partnering with the IDA. And within one day, all 1,000 were spoken for, which means people are ready to get back to work.
Oh yeah, everyone is definitely ready.
Because we're so successful with that, we're going to see if we can expand it, get the resources together to expand it. But Danny, you're absolutely right. People want to get back to work. People want to get this economy moving again. And we're on this schedule of phases, but I'm sensing from business owners and from residents a frustration and an impatience to get going. We know how. We're problem solvers. We're smart people. We know how to figure it out. We can open up while mitigating risk.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's amazing. So obviously one of the biggest issues with young people is, especially millennials, and for me, like I'm in my early 30s now, is housing. And considering the housing problems for millennials, specifically again, millennials of color, what are some of the initiatives? Has your office thought about considering working with developers to build affordable housing in any of the new vacancies from COVID-19? Because we know a lot of businesses and corporations are going to downsize because they're not going to have all the employees anymore in these huge, buildings. So is there any opportunity or is there any conversations yet to use that for affordable housing?
Housing has been such an issue, and there's a real dearth of housing for millennials here in Nassau County. Yeah. So before COVID, one of the reasons I actually ran for county executive was because I saw that we were losing our young people, that our downtowns weren't living up to their potential necessarily. And I know I'm not a millennial myself, but I like walkable downtowns. I like not necessarily having to take my car everywhere. And so my mission was and continues to be to work with those zoning municipalities. So on the county level, we don't control zoning. That's the towns and the villages. So to work with villages and to work with towns that want to open up their downtowns, want to build the kind of housing that young people want. In Suffolk, you've got the example of Patchogue. In Nassau County, we've got a wonderful mayor by the name of Ralph Ekstrom. He's the mayor of Farmingdale. And he allowed the zoning to build apartments right by the train station. Now, that happened, and it transformed that downtown in Farmingdale from a very kind of quiet, almost ghost town kind of feeling with lots of empty stores into a vibrant, walkable, fun downtown. Now, I have to say, obviously, COVID has shifted that a bit. Yeah. We're looking forward to get back to that, but that's the model. Housing, buy a big train station so people can commute. They don't necessarily have to have a car. That gets businesses going. That adds a sort of fun to life. Yeah. Young people don't necessarily they like the suburbs, but they don't necessarily want to own a house. empty nesters. Maybe they don't want to clean the gutters anymore. And because our taxes are so high, it makes sense to diversify the housing, to give people various housing options at different price points, and to revitalize, make walkable downtowns. It's more fun, it's more affordable, and it's good for everybody. So COVID has changed so much. We don't know, honestly, what the future will look like. I keep wondering if the handshake is ever going to come back.
I hope so. I was at a rally today. You know, you just keep doing elbow.
You just do the elbow thing.
Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, yeah.
It's not the same. I know.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get back to work on these downtown revitalizations. I think we need to do it. I think, you know, they say every crisis brings an opportunity. I think we have an opportunity now to really take a hard look at some of our zoning. Talk to those mayors. There's Mayor Peter Cavallaro of Westbury. There is Mayor Fran Murray in Rockville Center, Gene Selinger up in Great Neck Plaza. There's lots of mayors who are very forward thinking and who do see the benefit of this. Lynbrook, Allen Beach is another one. Let's work with them. Let's get these developments going, and let's use this as an opportunity to come back smarter and stronger.
Love it. Amen to that. I mean, it's definitely an opportunity to rebuild. I'm not going to get into this too much, but even as an organization, we believe that this is an opportunity to get minority millennials and young people of color into the manufacturing industry, and not only that, but to recruit new manufacturing industries. So artificial intelligence, you know, we know that the Zoom conversation we're having right now, a lot of the person-to-person workforce might change. It's going to go into artificial intelligence, but you're still going to need to fix that. And we want to get people trained to be able to handle that. And also then to be able to make up that, you know, middle-class income that Long Island is missing right now.
Can I just say amen to your plea for manufacturing? We actually have a pretty vibrant manufacturing sector here on Long Island. People don't realize that. I'd love to bring more tech in, but we have a lot of very, very sort of, you know, high-end, complicated manufacturing for medical devices and all kinds of things. And I love your mission. I align with that mission. In fact, I'd love to, if you don't already know her, connect you with my economic development person. To brainstorm on that, maybe talk to our IPA about how to brainstorm on that. That I think is a great goal, and I share it with you. And these are the jobs. See, so this is the other thing about these downtowns. If we create downtowns that young people want to live in, then we draw the companies that want to employ those young people.
Exactly.
You know, it all starts with the housing. It all starts with the housing piece.
Exactly. Yeah. And now it's the opportunity to do that. So my last question is, how can a group like ours, you know, an organization, assist you in advocating for social change in the big areas like housing, immigration, education, and workforce development?
Well, I'm very glad that you asked that. If you go, you know, to some of these municipal meetings, you often find the same cast of characters coming to complain about something or other. Yeah. And it's often you know, when you think about elected officials, who puts us here? The people who live here, the people who vote. So if you make your voice heard, elected officials will listen. If you come and you speak about what you would like to see, about what's important to you, you will be heard. And when it comes to housing, for instance, when it comes to changes in zoning or housing, we will often, and excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but we'll often get old cranky people coming and saying that they don't like change, they don't want anything different. So I would ask that your group and millennials and just really anyone would come, so that there's not just that one voice of no in the room, so that there is another perspective. Because if we're just hearing no about something, then like, oh, the community doesn't want it, all right. But meanwhile, people who are interested or who are feeling positive about something don't necessarily come out. It's more the anger that can be inspiring for people to come out than people supporting something, you know. So that would be my advice or my ask. Let us know what you think. And I think I really appreciate you, Danny, having me on this forum, just to let people know that your government is here for you. We want to listen to you. We want to hear from you. And anything that I can share, I am happy to do that. I've got a good team, you know, just use us as a resource.
Thank you. I mean, again, we really appreciate it. Are you feeling optimistic though? There is a beautiful pause. I do feel like at the rallies I've been going to, that there's a difference. You know, that I think George Floyd's death is not going to be in vain, and neither are, you know, the past decades of these instances, because I feel like we're not going back to the way it was, and there is going to be change with regards to just race relations and just policing. So I'm very optimistic about it, to be quite honest with you. And, you know, I'm very grateful again for this conversation with you. So thank you. I do want to say, Mr. Chitty Chitty sends regards. So, you know, he was
Lionel, he's
yeah.
great. Yeah, he's wonderful. He's the executive director of our Office of Minority Affairs.
Yes.
Can I say one more thing? Do we have time for one more quick thing?
I mean, yeah, definitely, absolutely.
So one thing that does concern me, I do share your optimism, but something that concerns me is I'm seeing social media being hijacked by people who might not live in Nassau County or have our interest at heart, who are looking to sow discord and chaos, and, you know, flyers that are being doctored, crazy rumors that are being spread. And I would just ask that if you see something on social media that you find troubling, look at it with a skeptical eye. Don't believe everything that you read, that you're coming across on social media, because I've seen a lot of harmful rumors start, a lot of scary rumors start that turned out to have absolutely no basis in value. So just, you know, keep that critical mind working.
Yeah, we just put out a post about that actually, because, and this is specific to Long Island. We have not had any protests that turned into rioting, but people in Long Island are freely using the word rioting and animals and savages and all these, you know, just horrible narratives, and it's not here, and we're not going to allow it, to be quite honest with you. That was our post. We're not allowing these narratives to change our mission, because we're not doing it in a violent manner. We're doing it in a manner that's peaceful but powerful, and it's impactful, and you can see it is resonating. It's resonating from Southampton all the way to Elmont. It's resonating.
That's great. Thank you. You really you made my day. Thank you so much.
Oh no, listen, we're here to work, and again, thank you for just joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Have a blessed night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.